All right, guys, we're back with another episode of the Endless Endeavor podcast. Today is going to be a solo cast. I know a lot of you guys prefer these or you like them to be interjected every so often, and I enjoy doing them. So, every 3, 4, 5 episodes, I like to do the solo cast, just kind of share what's on the horizon, share what's on my mind, and we have a lot to talk about today. One of my purple belts, shout out Igor, he said, "Hey man, are we going to get some crazy Andersons here in the next couple weeks? Because you're going to Costa Rica to do an ayahuasca ceremony. And by the time this episode drops, I will be in Costa Rica doing an 8-day plant medicine retreat where I'm doing ayahuasca and a peyote sweat lodge. And it's 8 days. And so I'm a little nervous. That's going to be a pretty intense experience, but he thinks that Crazy Anderson's going to be gone after that. And so he wants to get it in before I go down there. So that's what you're going to get today. A little bit of Crazy Anderson. We have 2 more episodes. They're going to be in the books for the upcoming weeks, which will be me, Tyler, and Toby. We're going to do a current events podcast, and then we're going to really delve into what Tyler is doing with his food forest and his horticulture and the things that he is doing to be more self-sustainable. Because guys, we talk about it all the time. You can have all the ideas in the world. You can have all the guns and the ammo. You can have your friends. You can have your tribe. All that's cool, right? But there are some key things that will make life much more sustainable if we take the time to implement them now, as opposed to after the economy collapses, after the grid goes down. And like we always say, I'm not saying that stuff is going to happen. I'm not fucking Nostradamus, but the potential for our society to go into uncertain times, in my opinion, is pretty high right now. And so, the people that speak out against the preparedness mindset will say, "Oh, you're living in fear and you're acting like one of those preppers." People will always attach negative connotations when you're taking steps to ensure your family's safety and your family's success. And the reason they do that is they're projecting their own fears on you. If your neighbor thinks it's strange that you want to have 6 months worth of food and have the ability to sustain life out on your farm or on your ranch, and they think that's strange, it's because deep down inside, when they look in the mirror, they know that if a event occurs where we are experiencing food shortages or we are experiencing some type of civil unrest, they're not ready. So don't let the haters prevent you from taking the necessary steps. I don't think any of us would ever fully believe that we are prepared. Okay, I can finally exhale. I'm ready for the apocalypse. Like, that moment will probably never come. And it's a balance, right? If you invest every waking moment into the apocalypse and you're not investing into your health and your fitness and you're not investing into your businesses and your family, okay, it's probably going to be a little bit of a problem. But if you haven't invested nothing into that scenario, well, then you always have that monkey on your back of what if, right? And so I always say a little bit of preparation, if nothing else, is a peace of mind. And that peace of mind can help us navigate whatever is next, regardless if it is chaotic or if the world turns around and everything starts working out, then we always have that ace in the hole. And I think it's an important perspective to hold, and it's an important thing to practice as not only the leaders of our family, but within our communities, within our tribes, and build that network. My network right now is probably the strongest it's ever been. It's growing every day, and it's super fun to see these groups of men and women building something that's important to them. And when we know we can rely on each other, I'm telling you guys right now, if you don't have that in your life, if you don't have people that you feel you can have trust in and have relationships with and that can have each other's backs, if you don't have that, something is missing. That is part of the human experience. All right. So what are we going to talk about today? I think I'll go into my ayahuasca stuff a little bit. I finally started my book. I dabbled in the kids' book a while back, and I'm not going to go into details why that kind of fell apart. But at the end of the day, I decided to pump the brakes on that and move forward with a more meaningful book, with a book that is going to, in my opinion, have the potential to change the lives of anybody who chooses to read it. And the title of my book is going to be Courage Through Adversity. And it's going to be really built around exactly that. That we as a nation and we as individuals will hold courage in our hearts if we put ourselves through adversity. And that adversity can be by design. It can be by default. Maybe life just throws you an arduous path and you grow up hard and you learn how to fend for yourself and you learn how to appreciate what you have and you learn how to overcome obstacles. There is more people in the world right now than not that live in that place right now because the world is not friendly. The world is not fun. The world is difficult. The world is dangerous for more human beings than it's not. But what we find is the American culture, and we talk about this very often, the American culture has been able to create this utopia. And this utopia is something that has allowed us as American men to become a weakened, diminished versions of ourselves. And if we allow this to continue to perpetuate, again, this isn't me trying to cast the shadow of doomsday on the horizon. I just don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it is sustainable for men in this country to become weaker and weaker and weaker, because at some point we will see one of two things happen. A foreign adversary will take advantage of our diminished state, or we will become so weak internally that we simply fall apart. And you will see different groups of people rise to power trying to exploit that or take advantage of that. And maybe I'll be one of those people. I'm not above that. If that's where the country devolves to, maybe that's where we go. But I don't think that is an optimal plan, and we've talked about it on the show a lot. I go back and forth. Part of me wants to see society as we know it collapse and only the strong survive. If that plays out, it should excite you, right? We will get to be part of a wild time in the history of the American empire. And, will it be comfortable? No. Will it be scary? Yes. Will it come with all kinds of problems and adversity? Absolutely. But the other side of the coin is it will come with the strongest bonds, the most meaningful relationships, and our day-to-day lives will be filled with things that we deem of the utmost importance. We are missing that as human beings. Our day-to-day lives are supposed to be filled with things that are of the utmost importance. You go look at any tribal people. How do they live? Their day-to-day activities are geared around simply survival. Food, shelter, community, tribe, taking care of each other, being safe. All that stuff is what touches us on a primal level. And when you kind of put all the bullshit on the back burner and go revisit that, I'm here to tell you, because combat shines a spotlight on a lot of those things. When you spend 5 years of your youth in the Middle East where other men are trying to kill you, you have a very intimate understanding of what living in a primal state feels like. And I'm here to tell you guys, it doesn't feel bad. In fact, it's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. It just lights something inside of you that it makes a fire burn for just living in the moment, appreciating what you have right now, appreciating the people to your left and your right. And that stuff is important, guys. In my opinion, and we're gonna go visit this intimately here shortly. All of the violence we're seeing, the school shootings, the fucked up transgender kids that don't know if they're a man or a woman, or they want to chop their dick off and make it a vagina. A lot of what we see in our broken society is because we don't have that tribal connection as human beings. As soon as people feel like an outcast, as soon as people don't feel like they have people to their left and their right that they can lean on, that they can rely on, well, then they start spinning, and they start spinning into those realms of anxiety and those realms of depression. And that's where the wheels fall off. I would love to see statistics on how much depression medication is being used in the Sudan, right? Because in the Sudan, people are still living a daily real life experience that is arduous. They don't have time to spin on topics and feel sorry for themselves and come up with all these ideas that are outside of the realm of reality. That's not people's experience in much of the world. That's an American thing. That's a Western society thing. And to tell you the truth, guys, I'm fucking sick of it. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, maybe get a little crazy Anderson today, because I am of the mindset of growth, personal excellence, trying to be the best version of ourselves. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge when certain factions within our society are fucked up and they're becoming dangerous. All right. 4 of the last school shootings happened by people that claim to be non-binary or they claim to be transgender. And the motherfucker that just went and shot those 9-year-olds in Tennessee, I saw people on the internet going, it was a tragedy that children got killed, but it's still not okay to misgender this person. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. To tell you the truth, they've been saying it's a woman on the news, and I think that thing had a vagina, but it identified as a man. So people are supposed to be referring to it as he, him, or whatever the fuck you're talking about. What are you talking about? Okay. I have an 8-year-old. All right. If somebody took her from me through a violent act, the last thing that anyone should be fucking talking about is if that person wants to be called a her or a him. And this is where I'm at with you motherfuckers. All right. Let's be very clear. You are victims of propaganda. All you dumb motherfuckers that think your dick is a vagina or vice versa, all right? You are victims of propaganda. You have allowed this corrupt government and this corrupt institution to make you believe that you're something that you're not. And that the answer to that is mutilating your body or pumping yourself full of a bunch of hormones that are absolutely unnatural, or to do that to people that are in their fucking early teens, or even worse. Some of you motherfuckers are talking about doing it to fucking babies, like 3 and 5-year-olds. Those are fucking babies. All right. You motherfuckers are victims of a massive propaganda campaign that is being perpetuated against you by your own motherfucking government. Okay? That's the truth. Now, if you don't have the intelligence or the self-reflection or the ability to detach and say, what is going on? Who am I? Why do I feel this way? Why do I think that everybody should be on board with how I live? Guys, I've talked about it on the show a million times. All right. If in your own house you want to put a dress on and you want to fuck another dude, go ahead. Okay? Go ahead. I don't think there's anyone that thinks you shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't think there's anyone that wants to put laws in place to stop you from doing that. Now, I also have the right to say it's fucking disgusting and I think you're weird. Right? And that doesn't mean that I want to come after you or that I think you should be fucking strung up. But this is where I do think you motherfuckers should be strung up, is when your radical ideology starts targeting our youth. Not only targeting our youth through your fucking drag shows and through your school library reading programs, now you're literally targeting our youth through violence. And for any motherfucker that says, I understand that school shootings are bad, but you better refer to him, her by their preferred pronouns or whatever the fuck it is. You're going to get strung up next when the day comes. Listen to what the fuck I'm saying. I see you motherfuckers holding pictures of guns and saying trans revolution and we're going to have the trans revolution. We're going to take a stand against conservatives. Yeah, okay. Like, make my motherfucking day. That seriously. Like, I sit here and I tell you, I don't have a problem with your fucking lifestyle. The extent of my problem with your lifestyle is I think it's gross. And I can say that. And you probably think fucking an attractive woman is gross. So we can agree to disagree. All right. But when you start saying you're going to fucking bring a revolution against us, okay, let me know how that works out for you. Because I'm here to tell you right fucking now, there's a good chance that you don't stand a fucking chance against men like us. Men like us that spent a decade in combat. And when we were in combat killing men, it wasn't men wearing fucking skirts and saying, I want you to call me this. And it offends me when you call me that. Those aren't the motherfuckers we were fighting on the streets of Ramadi. And in the fucking, the valleys of Afghanistan. The men we were fighting on the other side of the world were savage motherfuckers just like us. And if anyone wants to fucking disagree with me on that, they haven't spent much time on the streets of Ramadi. All right? I can hold a lot of respect for the men that we fought because they were aggressive, they were fearless, and they brought the fucking fight to you at every opportunity they had. And I'm not going to get into all that in this episode because I've talked about it before. If I were in their shoes and I lived in Ramadi, Iraq, and U.S. tanks were driving down my motherfucking streets, and you guys were giving me a curfew in my own city, there's a good chance I'd be in the sniper hide too. And motherfuckers, I've had teammates killed by snipers in Ramadi. Okay? And I can still take an objective look and detach emotionally and say, fuck man, you know what? I probably would have been doing that to you motherfuckers too. So if you trans motherfuckers think you stand a chance, good luck. Like it'll be like shooting fish in a fucking barrel. It'll be a joke. But the thing is, we don't want that. You guys are fucking victims of propaganda and you want to keep projecting your fucking psychotic views on our children to the point where it's becoming fucking dangerous for you. So knock it off. Go ahead and live and let live. Like that's what this fucking country has been founded on since the beginning of time. That's why we have the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, and the freedom to fucking defend ourselves via the Second Amendment. Because prior to the foundation of the United States, governments dictated how people lived. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And our founding father said, you know what? We've had a fucking enough of that shit. And we're going to give people the freedom to live how they want. But it's never good enough for people. Accepting you is never good enough. I have to accept you in my schools shaking your fucking dick in front of my daughters. And that's where we have a problem, you motherfuckers. And so we'll see what happens. Will that day come? Just like I said earlier, are we going to see a tipping point? Are we going to see a powder keg go off? Because over the last 48 hours, I have been of the mindset of I sure fucking hope so. You know, you guys, if for those of you that follow me on Instagram, my Instagram has become much less just triggering content, talking about the shit that like gets under your skin or the shit that gets you in a heightened emotional state, working off your sympathetic nervous system, putting you into fight or flight. Like I've made a conscious decision to try and stay away from that stuff. All right. Because becoming the best version of ourselves and becoming strong, capable, loving, powerful human beings, it doesn't involve being in this fucking triggered state all the time. So like we always say on the show, stay informed, but not consumed. And so we're going to talk about it. We're going to shine a spotlight on these idiots that think that they have the right to just project disgusting, vile behavior on our babies. And now certain aspects of them want to project actual violence against our kids. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. And if that offends anybody, go fuck yourself. You know, I've had Sebastian on the podcast before, and he's a friend of mine, and he's gay. Oh my God, you have a gay friend? Yeah, I do have a gay friend. And I would be the first to tell Sebastian, bro, I think fucking a dude is gross. Like, and he's still my friend. And he texted me this morning. And I said, bro, I'm going to read that text on the podcast because I think it's interesting. And he said, hey, bro, do you know there is a whole LGB movement to drop the T? Man, these radicalized fucking alphabet freaks have set gay people back in regards to all the progress that we made in the 90s. The whole community has lost touch with the sacredness of children, and you can see in their response to the recent tragedy how fucked. So guys, it's not a gay thing. It's not a straight thing. It's not an anything thing. You go do you. But when you come after the kids, everybody is fucking sick of it. I don't care if you want to fuck a butthole or you want to fuck a pussy. When you bring your shit to children, now we got a problem. And if anybody doesn't think that's reasonable, then I got a fucking problem with you. You know, I don't want fucking drag queens dancing in front of my girls. But you know what else I want? I don't want some dude talking about heterosexual sex to my 8-year-old either. I don't want that. And I don't need that. And so make no mistake about it. The problem that we are experiencing in society is you twisted fuckers coming after our kids. And both the gay and the straight communities have hard lines in the sand. People will develop their sexuality when they grow into the age where they naturally start to desire other human beings. Let that happen and stay the fuck out of nature. And so the biggest thing that frustrated me about the story, the Tennessee shooter, again, our president's response. So I'm going to play his response on the air, and then we're going to talk about it, because just when you think this demented, dumb old motherfucker can't say anything more egregious, he somehow is able to top his own fucking idioticness. So check this out.
The White House. My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. God. Ben, how are you, pal? One of the best guys in the United States Congress, Ben Cardin. Folks, it's a delight to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there? They're your kids, all 4 of them? Well, stand up, guys.
Okay, so, and it goes on for a while. He talks to those kids, and it's like, oh, you remind me of me and my sister, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, the defenders of him are already saying, that wasn't a press conference for the shooting. That was a pre-planned, some fucking event, right? But the truth is he came out in that moment to speak about the shooting. And shortly after that, he went into the shooting. All right. That's the truth. That's what happens. You can go watch the clip on YouTube. And he even said, the reason that I wanted to talk about those kids in the back is because I wanted to talk about kids because we had some kids get killed. We had some kids get killed yesterday. And he like goes into it. That's his segue. Let's talk about somebody's kids so we can have a segue into kids that get killed. And that this motherfucker comes out on stage and goes, I mean, you heard it. I'm Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Jill Biden's husband. And everybody starts laughing, which, I don't know, is this a fucking comedic stand-up act? And even if it was, what's funny about that? It's fucking, you're a demented old moron. But then he goes, and I choose, and if you listen to it closely, it sounds like he says, I choose Chinese ice cream. But I think he was trying to say, I choose chocolate ice cream. I don't know, because he's a mumbling old fucking retard. But he goes, oh, you think I'm kidding? I got ice cream upstairs, a whole bunch of it. And it's like, fuck, man. Like, the leader of the free world has every major media network with cameras pointed at him because somebody just lost their babies due to a psychopath. And you're telling everybody how you like chocolate ice cream. Like, what more does it fucking take to impeach a motherfucker for incompetence? What more does it take? And this isn't about my hatred for his policies or how I think he's an evil motherfucker that's part of the elite class that just wants to tax you to death, take away your guns, fucking launder all that money through Ukraine and ride off into the sunset rich as fuck on your back. Because all those things are true too. But I'm just talking about his cognition, his ability to fucking stand in front of a crowd and string together 2 fucking sentences. You know, I say it all the time on the show. When my motherfucking ass, who is just a fucking a knuckle-dragging Army Ranger, can sit in front of a mic and I can speak for 1 hour. I can talk to you guys about whatever the fuck I want. We can talk about my show, my book. We can talk about this transgender shit because talking isn't difficult. Most human beings can sit down and share their thoughts. Communication was one of the key elements of being a fucking human being. And here we are. And the leader of the free world lacks the ability to communicate effectively. Out of every human being on planet Earth, we chose him. And guys, it's impossible that he is the most popular president of all time. It's impossible. So, you know, all you motherfuckers that want to be like, oh, you're a dumb MAGA supporter because you don't think the election was free and fair and you think it was stolen. I don't know what happened, guys. What I do know is that the majority of Americans don't want that motherfucker to be their president. That's what I know. I don't know anyone that's proud of that person as their president. And it's probably because I don't run in a circle with fucking morons. But if you're proud to have that person as your president, look at yourself in the mirror and ask why. And apart from policy, all right? Apart from policy. Because let's be honest, that motherfucker doesn't have policy. That motherfucker he just fucking blows in the wind. There's a million examples over the years of him flip-flopping. It's because he doesn't have a spine and he never did. He's been full of shit since he was fucking brand new into politics. I graduated top of my class. I had 2 degrees. I was on the honor roll, this and that. Like lie after lie after lie. And some people think that that's acceptable. I don't think that's acceptable. I think that we should have a rule that if you are in any type of government position and you are caught lying one motherfucking time, you are banned from being inside of politics for the rest of your life. Period. I actually think obviously, I think that's a reasonable rule that could get passed, that could be a bipartisan rule that everybody could agree on. I mean, they would never pass it because all those motherfuckers, all they do is lie. And since they're in charge of legislating laws, we know that'll never happen. But I think that most Americans could agree that's probably pretty reasonable. I'll take it a step further. If you're caught lying inside of a position of authority as part of the U.S. government, string your ass up, motherfucker. We're sick of the corruption. Everybody's sick of it. And it starts with him. And so this is my theory. For him to walk out knowing we're going to talk about babies that got murdered, right? Make no mistake about it. If it was a white Christian male that went into a nightclub of transgender people and killed 6 transgender people, make no mistake, the fucking ambiance would have been somber. It would have been like, here we are again with another MAGA extremist killing innocent members of our society. AR-15s are the devil, and because psychopaths have them, our people are going to continuously be under this terroristic threat. It would have been night and day difference. But because the people that they are perpetuating, the fucking illness that they have been shining a spotlight on and that they have been celebrating for the last 2 years. Oh my God, you're transgender. Yay. Oh, well, since it was that person that went and killed a bunch of people, let's just gloss over this one. Let's just, hey, you know what, Joe? Go out there and talk about ice cream. Try and get everybody laughing. Let's try and make it kind of fun out there, because we don't want to go out there and shine a spotlight on the truth. And that's my fucking opinion. But you know what? I think my fucking opinion is right, because we've seen it a million times. And every time one of these fucking things comes up where it's like, oh man, this is an opportunity to go after a right-wing wacko, a right-wing extremist. As soon as they find out, it's like, oh no, actually the shooter was gay. Oh no, actually the shooter was transgender. It's fucking crickets. Get that fucking story out of here. Get that story out of here. Now, I know there's a percentage of you out there that think the whole thing from start to finish, all the active shooters, all of the mass murders the wave we have seen go across our country over the last few decades are by design and are by basically like a covert operation being implemented by our own government. And, it's nuts, man, because a few years ago, I thought those people were nuts. I thought the 9/11 being an inside job, I thought you guys were nuts. And if I've learned anything through COVID, if I've learned anything since 2020, it is this: your government fucking hates you. They are self-serving, and they are there for them, and they are there to serve the elite of society. Now, how far are they willing to go to do that? I don't know. I don't know if I believe that our own government would murder children. Or I shouldn't say if I believe that they would, because I put nothing past them now. That's the truth. I put nothing past them now. But I don't know if I believe that to be the factual occurrence that we are seeing take place. And, I'll get a bunch of people writing me and be like, bro, didn't you see this video? Like, it's mismatched shoes and things like that. And guys, trust me, I know. Same thing when Sandy Hook came out. There is a lot of things that don't add up. I know. But I tell you guys this for a reason, because people will grasp at straws to try and make the story be what they want it to be. And I saw it when my video went viral. You can still see them on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos about how I'm this undercover shill that's working for the government. And they got all these things. And look at this shirt. He has an Illuminati symbol, and his Instagram handle has a 3 in it. And he shows one eye in this picture, and all this fucking crazy shit. So I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is lunatics out there that take every single last story and try and turn it into something that it's not. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the truth. And then there's everything in between. And it's very, very difficult to decipher that. So I would caution you guys, and I'm not saying be trustful of your government or don't scrutinize what you see. Dominic Rizzo is a guy that I've been friends with on Instagram. He shared a story this morning about different shoes being worn by the shooter. And fuck, man, it's something to look at. And that's where I'll leave it at, because could it be the quality of this video camera versus the quality of that video camera? Maybe there are some extenuating circumstances, but I think it's healthy to be critical and question your government. And I think it's good to question them because they fucking hate you. All right. So let's talk about the last 48 hours of my life. I have been kind of mentally and physically preparing for my ayahuasca ceremony that starts on April 6th. I get to Costa Rica on the 5th. And no, I get there on the 4th, and then I travel to the retreat on the 5th, and then we start the 6th. And I have been weaning out certain substances, certain behaviors. You have to stop eating meat a certain time out. You have to stop eating sodium. You go to a full vegetarian diet. I've already cut out 100% alcohol and weed. I haven't used any THC really since I was out in Utah. When I linked up with Glover, I had a joint one night out there, and I think that's the last time. And it's interesting, man, seeing the shift in my sleep patterns and my recovery, because for a long time I used to think I needed marijuana to sleep, right? And then I saw a little piece from Andrew Huberman saying weed helps you fall asleep, and it can even help you stay asleep. But the actual THC molecule, and some of you guys that are fucking scientists are going to be like, you're butchering that. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But basically that marijuana can inhibit REM sleep cycles. So while you may be asleep, you are not getting that deep recovery that you need from sleep. And that's something that I'm going to have to look at, because even though I felt like I have defeated insomnia for the most part through CBD and through THC, man, there's a lot of days when I still like hit that midday slump and I'm like, fuck, I'm tired, man. I'm fucking tired. And, I'm taking all of these different supplements and all these good products that are part of the podcast. And I'm finding that I still sometimes hit that midday slump. So I got a Whoop strap, and I don't know how accurate or how valuable the Whoop strap is, but I just wanted to see what is up with my REM sleep cycles. Now I stopped all CBD and all cannabis in preparation of my ayahuasca ceremony. And I'm back to having a lot of nights where I'm staring at the ceiling. I wake up at 3 and I can't go back to sleep till 6. And it's like, motherfucker, insomnia is back. But in addition to not being able to, or not being able to sleep the whole night through, according to the Whoop, my REM sleep cycles are actually more effective. And I'm getting a higher efficacy from the sleep that I am getting. And, I got the Whoop a couple weeks before I stopped using marijuana. And man, I would sleep all night, and then it would read that my sleep was 30% effective. And my REM sleep was almost non-existent. And so I'll keep working on this and keep gathering data and share it with you guys, and kind of figuring out what is the best path forward. But, I've talked to some doctors about this. I actually had a consultation with my doctor this morning, and he said that I have, they did a genetic test on me, and he said I am genetically predisposed to metabolizing caffeine very slowly. So he goes, if you have a coffee after noon, after 12 p.m., there's a good chance it's going to fuck your sleep cycles up. And that's not how he worded it verbatim, but that's the message. And so I drink fucking coffee all the time. All the time. I can drink a 300 milligram Bang energy drink at 10 p.m. and go to sleep. And I told him that. And he goes, well, maybe your body has become accustomed to falling asleep with this amount of caffeine in it. But similar to the thing that we spoke of in regards to THC and REM sleep, I guess caffeine does a very similar thing. And it inhibits your ability to get into those powerful, deep resting sleep cycles. So I'm going to go cold turkey on all this shit and kind of see where I land. But in preparation for my retreat, people have said very often, they're like, as soon as you make the commitment to go down there, Mother Aya, which is the powerful ayahuasca feminine energy that you will interact with at ceremony, she starts working on you. And man, as I get closer and closer to ceremony, I feel some of my old demons starting to come alive and some fucking rage coming up inside of me. And, I'm not so dark down that path where I'm looking at my pistol and having thoughts like that. I've been very open with you guys because I think we're all on this journey together, and vulnerability and transparency is how we all rise and become better versions of ourselves. So I'm not there, but I have been to a place where I want to pull over, rip people out of their car and beat them to death. And it's like, fuck, man, like, where is this coming from again? And, I think there's a two-tiered approach to this. On one hand, I think it's just the natural ebb and flow of controlling who you are as a man. And inherently, who I am is someone that thinks when people misbehave, they deserve to have violence projected against them. And that's been lost in our culture. And, if you're ripping people off and you're giving people fake aggression, if you're flipping people off on the roads and saying, fuck you, I can tell you the emotionally intelligent thing to do is say, whatever, and take a left-hand turn and continue on my day. I understand, as a logical thinking human being, that is the responsible thing to do. But you know why we call that the responsible thing to do? We call that the responsible thing to do in today's world because we have this judicial system that is set up that if you do anything to people resulting from disrespect, you go to jail. If someone flips me off and I knock his front teeth out, I go to jail. If someone rips you off, if someone's a contractor and you're subcontracting someone out and they fucking steal all your money and you knock his teeth out, you go to jail. And, I say that specific instance of a contractor because one of my best friends is going through right now. He subcontracted someone out and for part of a build and he took 50 grand and said, fuck you, I'm not paying you back and I'm not doing the job. Well, that's criminal, right? Well, no, it's not really criminal because that has to get adjudicated civilly. And he told me, he goes, bro, I know 1000% when we go to court that I will be found in the right and he'll be found in the wrong. It's not a right or wrong thing. It's this guy literally ripped me off. But why can't I go fuck that dude up? And the answer is because our society is built around weakness. All right. We basically contracted our own government out to be our protectors. And now you can't protect yourself at all. Someone fucks you over and the government has to handle it. Someone steals from you, the government has to handle it. Someone fucking swerves at you and tries to cut you off. Let the cops know. The government will handle it. But here's the ironic thing. Especially up in the Pacific Northwest where I live, the government ain't handling jack or shit. They're not doing a goddamn thing. And it's not the patrol officer's fault. I talk about it on the show all the time. I'm not casting shade at patrol officers. Half of the fans of this show are people that wear the uniform in the military or in the professional law enforcement. And those motherfuckers are just as frustrated as I am because they want to be out there doing the job and doing good things and confronting evil. But the system that has been allowed to grow into a monster, it doesn't perpetuate that. It perpetuates the opposite. It perpetuates these sleazy, slimy motherfuckers a blanket of protection. And we just accept it. We accept it. My fucking property has been burglarized 3 different times in the last year, all by methamphetamine addicts. Well, how do you know that? Because I look at the surveillance video and I watch how they fucking walk. That's how. And I'm 100% right and I'd bet my life on it. But I have identified 2 of them through good police work because guess what? I was a criminal investigator for fucking 10 years. I understand how this game is played. And I also understand that if a motherfucker is trying to steal the motor off of somebody's boat, that they probably are in the fucking police system. And it's not that hard to find them when they have a big tattoo down their arm that says Papa Bear or whatever the fuck that guy says. And when I see that tattoo, I'm going to fucking knock your teeth out. They will come. And it's because, I identified him. I gave the police his address. I went to his address. I fucking talked to his mother about it. And I put the whole police report together. And I've talked about it on the show before, so some of you guys have heard this story. I did the whole thing. And the deputy's like, bro, this is the best victim statement I've ever seen. I said, yeah, I know it is. Because I did your job for 10 years, and I know every single element that needs to be in this report. And I articulated everything with exact detail. And he's like, dude, based on this alone, we have PC. I said, I know. Guess what never happened? He never got arrested. And that is not the exception anymore. That is the rule. So all of these motherfuckers are under this blanket. They're under this cloak of protection. And the thing is, all those laws that are in place were originally designed to protect people like us and law-abiding citizens and our families. And it's become so convoluted that now they don't go after the criminals because the prosecutor doesn't want to take this many cases. And, oh, well, he's addicted to drugs and he needs treatment. He doesn't need to be part of the judicial system, or the judicial system's just too full. Okay, so your judicial system's too full, but when I knock his teeth out, I bet your judicial system's not too full to book me, you motherfuckers. And you know that's the truth. So what do we do with that? At what point do we say, hey, I have to protect myself. I have to protect my own property. I have to protect my own family. And if the cops come after you for doing that, now what? Like, I don't want a conflict with the police. I probably have 15 students in my gym that are police, that are local sheriffs and local officers. I have nothing but respect for the police. But at the same time, I'm also not going to be disallowed the right to protect my family and protect my property. And so this is where I stand on this. If I smash a fucking meth head for trying to steal my boat again, which cost me $5,000 to repair, and insurance only covered half of it, because our watercraft policy only goes up to $2,500, and that's my fault, right? But at the same time, that's the truth. So I'm out thousands of dollars because of some motherfucker, and I'm supposed to just eat it. Well, I'm done eating it, and you should be done eating it too. And when they want to come after you for defending your shit, well, now I got a fucking problem. And you guys can take that problem as far as you want. I just want to be left the fuck alone. I'm not a criminal. I don't do illegal shit. I don't steal from people. But when you come at me and try and impose your criminal lifestyle against me, my family, and my property, well, we got a fucking problem. And so I always say, man, I'm one day away from either being put in a fucking pine box or spending the rest of my life behind bars, because I am done being a victim. And that's a choice that I think everybody should make. And the people that should make it at the highest level are you guys that are inside of the profession. You see people doing the right thing. You see people standing up. You see people saying, I'm no longer going to be a victim. Fucking support those people. Oh, no, you need to arrest that guy. Fuck you. You know, one of my best friends, who you guys know, is Tobin Folk. We've been friends since we were 19-year-old privates in the Ranger Regiment. He made a video on his YouTube last week talking about what guerrilla fighters wear, the uniform of a guerrilla fighter. And the motherfucking FBI called him. And this wasn't a hoax. This wasn't somebody messing with him. They called his wife, and then they called him because they have all the databases to just pull whoever's phone numbers they want. And they said, we want to talk to you about your guerrilla warfare video. Fuck you, you stupid fucking bought and paid for pussies. That's what you are. Folk's a fucking hero. Folk is someone that fucking loves this country and has put it all on the line. And you're gonna fucking, I want to conduct an interview about a YouTube video. This fucking country's in shambles right now, and you want to call a decorated veteran about a YouTube video? Fuck you. When are you motherfuckers that are inside of these agencies and inside of these departments gonna say, you know what? I'm on the side of right now. I'm no longer on the side of what Governor so-and-so says, or Governor or Mayor so-and-so says. And guess what, guys? It's a real easy choice. Because when I was told, if you don't do what the governor says, you're going to lose your job, I said, good, fuck you. It's not hard, guys. But nothing changes if nothing changes. So while the government weaponizes its law enforcement agencies against the people, every single one of you that partakes in that is responsible and just as culpable of the people at the top. So take hard, long look at yourself in the mirror and draw those hard lines and ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing? Now, is this rising to the level that it was in 2020? No, we can be honest and say it seems like things simmered down a little bit. But when you're calling one of my best friends to talk to him about a YouTube video, fuck you. And I know some of you pussies probably listen to this too. on duty. You're tasked to listen to the Endless Endeavor podcast and see what he says. And you know I'm right, so do the right thing. But most of you motherfuckers are cowards, and you won't. Be one of the good ones, guys. Be one of the people that is standing up and being on the side of right, because we fucking need you. And as this shit progresses, we're only going to need you more. We have, I have a new fucking goal. Let's take a fucking right turn here and talk about something else before we wrap this episode up. I have a new goal of getting a book out inside of 1 calendar year. And this is a result of spending the weekend with Glover at his house in Heber City, Utah. We had a great weekend, and him and I have talked about it on the podcast before. We vibe. We just share the same energy. We're cut from the same cloth, and he's cool as fuck, man. I like being around that guy. And he talked about his second book coming out. And I was like, dude, is your first book out yet? And he goes, no, it comes out June 4th. And I said, fuck, man, you already have a date for book 2, and book 1 isn't even out yet. And I sat there and I said, you know what? That's why I want to hang out with people like you. Because I have told myself for years that I'm too busy, that I'll get to my book. It's something I want to do. I have a story I want to tell. But at the same time, I got this going on. I got that going on. And it'll just happen when it happens. And guys, over planning is just another form of procrastination. You can tell yourself you're the busiest person in the world and you got this, that, and this. Meanwhile, when I watch Glover operate, I see how busy he is. I see that almost every single day is accounted for, and he has a calendar that is booked out for fucking months. He doesn't have a free minute, yet he has book 2 already in the works. And it made me realize, I said to him, I said, man, you're busier than I am, and you're more productive than I am. And that's a problem. Like, there is no reason that I shouldn't be doing these things too. And he goes, yeah, bro. And he goes, this is what I think, man. You have lived a life that has a lot of experience that you can offer to share with other people that will give them value. He goes, a lot of time in special operations, a lot of time in deployments, a lot of time in various law enforcement capacities. You're a black belt in jiu-jitsu and you coach jiu-jitsu. Like, he goes, you have a lot of life experience that could add value to people's lives. So sharing that value with people isn't something that you should do or you ought to do. He goes, I think people that hold value should feel obligated to share it to people. And he goes, I think your book is an obligation. I don't think it's something that you should just kick around. And I said, done. And this goes back to keeping circles of people that hold you accountable, that motivate you to do good things and to inspire you to be the best version of yourself. And so I'm about 20 pages in now, and my rule is a page a day. 1 page a day minimum. There is no maximum. There's been days I've written more, but I'm going to do a book called Courage Through Adversity, because I think that is one of the missing links in today's society, is that men and women of the past became courageous people. And we kind of touched on this at the beginning, but they became courageous people because life put a lot of adversity in front of them. And if you don't put adversity in front of yourself, you are never able to hone your courage. And I've seen it time and time and time again, that the men and women that have walked the most difficult paths and done the most arduous things typically are more grounded in reality and have a sense of self-belief, a sense of self-love, and they hold the ability to show courage when they need to and when necessary. Now, everything's a double-edged sword, right? Because a lot of our warriors that have seen a lot of combat and have been through a lot of arduous things, they look in the mirror and they still feel broken. And they still feel like they aren't this powerful version of themselves. And they feel like they don't have the capacity to love themselves. And so it's a very fine line. And kind of the conclusion that I'm coming to is you have to do arduous things and difficult things in your life to arrive at a point where you can now hold courage and have hard lines and stand up for yourself and not be living in a state of fear. All right. A lot of people are living in this perpetual state of fear. And man, fear is the mind killer. Fear is what paralyzes people. So you need to build that courage while simultaneously, I think this is the key, and maybe I'm fucking nuts and my book will suck and no one will read it. But the truth is, I think this will resonate with a lot of people. The key to developing courage through adversity is putting yourself through hard things while simultaneously figuring out how to look at the man in the mirror and say, I'm fucking proud of you. I think that's where we come alive as men. And I can tell you from personal experience, there's times when I've looked in the mirror and thought, fuck you, man. What a failure. You're broke. You can't feed your family. You're going in debt. And you look at yourself in the mirror and you project the things on yourself that you're not proud of. So it doesn't matter how many fucking combat deployments you have to Ramadi. If you're the man that gets home and looks at yourself in the mirror and says, you know what? You're a fucking loser. Then guess what? You're a loser. All right? But the other side of it is, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm proud of who I am. I like who I am. But you have no hard lines in the sand, and you have no resilience, and you have no courage. You are equally as weak, and you are equally as incapable. So we have to find the middle ground where you are someone that has put arduous tasks in front of you and you have overcome them and you have built a resilient body and a resilient spirit, while simultaneously knowing when you look at yourself in the mirror, it doesn't mean that you're winning in every single aspect of your life. It doesn't mean that you have the body that you want or that your finances are where they need to be. But the key element of being proud of who you look at in the mirror is simply this. Am I on the path to being better than I was yesterday? And guys, we've talked about this. If you look in the mirror and you were 400 pounds a month ago and now you're 350, you're goddamn right you can be proud of that. All right? Your proud and my proud could be very different things. And that goes for every human being on planet Earth. Because a number on the scale, depending on who you were a month previous, it could mean progress or it could mean a fucking decline. So progress is never any one spot. And this thing is not linear. It's different for everybody. So you have to figure out who you are right now and who you want to be. And then if you stay on that path, and when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can be honest with yourself, because that's the truth. You are the one motherfucker you can't lie to. You are the one motherfucker that you can't put a facade in front of. You can do that to the rest of the world. You can say, I'm a plus size model and I'm proud that I'm 270 pounds in a bikini. But when you look at yourself in the mirror, you know you're full of shit and you're not proud of that. When you're on the right path, just like you can't hide from yourself, you can't deny yourself pride either. When you know you're doing good, you know you're doing good. And so my book is going to be this, Courage Through Adversity. And it's going to be how I came to be who I am based on my experiences through the military, through law enforcement, through jiu-jitsu. And it's going to be about my path. And that's going to be part 1 of the book. And then part 2 of the book is going to be our path. And that's how do we as a collective do the things that are going to make us strong as a community and as a society. And fuck, man, I think if we can get more people on board trying to become this strong version of themselves, that's going to be the ticket. And so, you know, we kind of went down a rabbit hole on that one, and it's kind of started with me feeling like I've been a fucking monster this week. But that's because in order to be the best version of yourself, I think you need that fucking monster in there. I think you need that monster inside. And the only way that we can find success is learning how to keep that monster on a leash when it needs to be, and then knowing when the time to take that leash off and let that motherfucker run wild, when you know that that's always option B and that you can do that, fuck, man, now you can relax. Because now that's in there and you know that's in there, and you won't live in fear anymore. Fear is a strange spot that a lot of people choose to live in, and they probably choose to live there almost in a subconscious manner. But, I think we talked about it a week or two ago, but, it's like fear is this. You either face the fears of living, you face them right now, or you kick them down the road and you face them later. But you don't get out of this thing without facing them. So you might as well just get it out of the way. People want to chase their retirement. Bro, I got 14 years left and then I get a pension. And I talk about this example all the time. 14 years left and I get a pension. But if you look at the data, you look at the math, I want to say it's 2% of people, 2 or 3% of people can live off of their military and law enforcement pensions. And then they've done big studies on this. And yet massive amounts of people don't even make it to retirement. It's something like 20% of them will be dead before they draw their pension. Well, fuck, dude. That's a pretty big number. There's a higher percentage chance I die before I reach my pension than my pension actually providing me a life where I don't have to work anymore. That's kind of shocking. Yet people will still chase this. And it's because they don't want to face the fear of walking away right now. But statistically, you're going to face that fear when you're 65, because the plans that you put in place are more likely than not going to work out for you. And so, you have to come to terms with the life cycle. You have to come to terms with, like, this is finite. What we're doing here is a moment in time. I'm on this fucking journey. I'm in the universe now. And I'm going to do the things that serve me best now. And I'm not going to kick the can down the road. What we have to understand is, and I wrote about this on Instagram a week or two ago, is choose your hard. Guys, choose your hard. And that's the beauty of hard, is we get to dictate what it is. Now, most people won't seize that opportunity, and they'll just let the universe dictate. If you don't choose your hard, the universe will choose your hard. And that's a fact. You can choose waking up early and going to the gym, or you can choose living with diabetes and getting gassed going up a flight of stairs. You can choose living a disciplined existence and eating nutritious foods, or the universe will say you're going to have terrible sleep cycles and you're going to have to sleep with a CPAP machine on. Like, there's no free lunch in this world. And you have to decide where you're going to invest your hard and where it's going to serve you best. And the thing is, we all know that inherently. We know where we should invest our hard. But for whatever reason, again, we like to kick the can down the road and just say, well, this and that, and I'm busy with this and the kids and college and my commute. And then the hard catches up with you, and then the hard gets you. There is no escape from the hard. Understand that right now. The hard's coming for you. So get out in front of it. Say, you know what? I know you're fucking coming for me. I know there's no avoiding it. So I'm going to get out in front of you, and I'm going to get the hard before it gets me. And it should start tomorrow with going to jiu-jitsu and doing your first class, because some of you motherfuckers have been thinking about it for a year. One of the most common emails I get is, Greg, you've been talking about jiu-jitsu so much. I signed up 8 months ago. I'm a 3-stripe white belt now. I'm down this many pounds. And it's the best fucking decision I've ever made in my life. Thank you. And it's like, I just want to write back and go, duh. Fuck, man. I've yet to see the person that didn't have their life enriched through jiu-jitsu. But obviously I don't write back and say that. I say, fuck yeah, brother. I'm proud of you. Keep going, because the journey only continues to give more and more and more. And if you're that person, go out there and seek it tomorrow. Be proud of the man in the mirror, because when you go to jiu-jitsu and you're 40 pounds overweight and you haven't done anything athletic in the last 20 years, I think there's a statistic that I read the other day. It said, is it like 1 or 2% of men over the age of 35 years old will ever sprint again? And I was like, fuck, I better go to the track, dude. That's just gross. You're never going to you're never going to redline your body again after 35. So go do that. And go take your out of shape ass to the gym and buy a gi and get your ass kicked for fucking 60 minutes. And then when you go home, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be proud of that motherfucker. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up with this. I want to read page 1 of Courage Through Adversity. And I don't know how much time this is going to take. I have a lot of people that are already like, hey, bro, I'm dialed in on this and publishing and book deals, and I can help you out here or there. I have a lot of people already reaching out to me, but I still don't know what this process will look like when it's all said and done, and you can have a fucking copy of Courage Through Adversity sitting on your desk. I don't know if it's 6 months. I don't know if it's 18 months. And I'm not going to get into the book any more details other than page 1. Page 1. This book is being written for one reason and one reason only. I believe that the United States, and perhaps even our entire world, is being overtaken by a plague. Not a plague in the traditional sense of the word, but a plague that is self-induced. A plague of poor choices, a plague of zero accountability, and a plague of overall weakness. We as a nation must redevelop the individual courage that grew America into the great nation it once was, and ensure it's sustainable for generations to come. That is what has inspired this book. It's going to take hard work, seeking discomfort, facing adversity, and never shying away from the hard right over the easy wrong. We as a people have become soft physically, soft emotionally, and soft spiritually. Yet we hold the tools and all of the powers to change that trajectory of not only our own personal lives, but our communities, our country, and the entire world. In these coming pages, I have divided the book into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is my path. I feel it necessary to tell you, the readers, my personal story, my path that has led me to where I am and where I sit today. Through this wild adventure called life, I have faced some insurmountable life adversaries. Some were self-imposed, many were by chance. But regardless, I feel the path I have walked has allowed me to develop a resilience and a courage that allows me to operate outside of the scope of fear. For me to preach my message, you will find in the following chapters, I believe it is only reasonable for me to allow you, as the reader, to have a front row seat to my life, so my words hold validity and value. Part 2 is our path. Our path forward as a country and as humanity must be a path of unity and strength that every single last one of us is responsible for playing a crucial role in. This starts with each one of us individually choosing to pursue personal excellence, and then and only then can we achieve a collective excellence as a society. Everyone is waiting for someone else to come and change the trajectory of our lives and of our country. This governor or that president, this doctor or that employer. And the truth is, it literally starts with you and it literally starts with me, period. No one is coming to save you. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can all become the best versions of ourselves. That's what I got for this week, guys. We'll be back with Toby and Tyler in the next 2 episodes. And then following that, you're going to get an in-detail look at my ayahuasca ceremony. I appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see you next time.